Okay, so full disclosure, I was about 5 or 6 years too old when Power Rangers first hit to have any kind of nostalgic appreciation for it, outside of remembering that my kid sister was really into it for like 5 years. Now, since it's my job to know about this shit, oh my god, it's actually my job to know about this shit. Fuck. Whew. Whew. Sorry about that. Since it is my job to know about these things, I have since caught myself up with the help of a colleague and True Blue fan. But nonetheless, if you're looking to find out whether or not this movie will do the job for genuine Power Rangers lovers, be they adults who grew up watching it or kids still watching it since this is apparently still on, I might not be the guy to ask. What I can tell you is that yes, Power Rangers effectively delivers on the promise of a big-budget blockbuster version of an episode of the original series, wherein Rita Repulsa sends a giant monster to attack Angel Grove, the Rangers put on their costumes, do battle with an army of putties, engage the monster using their Zords, combine said Zords into the singular Megazord, ultimately saving the day and delivering a heartfelt message about the importance of teamwork and also Krispy Kreme since somebody had to pay for the fucking movie. So yeah, hey, it's just like an episode of the show, including the fact that everything I just described covers about 25 minutes total of screen time. No, I'm not exaggerating. No real fighting, no costumes, no robots, no weapons, basically zero Power Rangers stuff exists in the Power Rangers movie until the last 20 to 25 minutes of the third act of a movie that runs just over 2 fucking hours long. Holy shit. So before that, you've got to slog through about 90 minutes, for those keeping track, the average runtime of both previous movies in this franchise, of just about the most tedious origin story bullshit imaginable, in which we get to know our new cast of teenage heroes and have what might be the most forgettable franchise starter mythology possible drilled into our heads over and over and over and over and over by Bryan Cranston, who looks only slightly less happy to be here than Ben Affleck does, still having to make another fucking Batman movie. You see, the new angle at play here is that Cranston Zordon and Elizabeth Banks' Rita Repulsa were the original Red and Green Rangers back in dinosaur times, but she went evil and everybody else wound up dead, and Zordon wound up as a great big ghost head, and she wound up as an evil witch sleeping for millions of years. Later on, they and all the other Power Rangers stuff are reawakened as part of a half-assed retread of the movie Chronicle when Power Coins select a random quintet of local teenagers to become the new Power Rangers, the gimmick this time being that instead of a team of 5 equally sunny best pals with one defining hobby and or character trait apiece, we get 5 obnoxious after-school special caricatures who initially can't stand each other with one defining set of emotional baggage apiece, each one seemingly sourced by having someone's great uncle run a Tumblr search for what the kids are on about these days. Now hey, credit where it's due. Putting it right out front that the Blue Ranger is on the autism spectrum and the Yellow Ranger is being hassled by her parents because she's gay or at least not straight is a pair of welcome decisions handled reasonably well, particularly since Hayam Saban is not exactly known as the world's most progressive children's entertainment mogul. So theoretical, yeah, A for effort on those two relatively brave fronts. But unfortunately, the film is locked in on the thematics of the Rangers being damaged and troubled to complement a gritty reboot aesthetic that also reimagines Angel Grove as both a dying Midwestern mining town and a dying New England fishing village because someone couldn't decide on only one generic symbol of hardscrabble middle American impoverishment, which means the endlessly insisted upon damaged millennial setup ends up equating identities like autistic and gay, with the new Pink Ranger just being a straight-up bully, the Red Ranger who's just an asshole, and a Black Ranger who actually genuinely has a sad backstory and receives the least amount of attention. Still, if your favorite thing in the world is watching a group of profoundly unlikable little brats awkwardly transition from being shitty and snarky to each other for almost no reason to exchanging Red Dawn levels of melodramatic brothers-in-arms foxhole devotion for even less reason, Power Rangers is the movie for you, because director Dean Israelite is content to serve up an entire fucking film's worth of sub-John Hughes teen angst bullshit like parental misunderstanding, small-town inertia ennui, and revenge porn sexting scandals, no, fucking really, before the CGI animators and the second unit team can take over and deliver a Michael Bay'd up Power Rangers episode at the very, very end. And admittedly, that modestly ambitious final blowout is, serviceable, at least in an HBO original series season finale kind of way, if not necessarily a feature film premiering in actual movie theaters kind of way. If it was possible to give a shit about about any of the characters or their various arcs, despite, again, 90 action-free minutes spent building them up. I might even be tempted to bump the ending up to a passable, but the kids are all ciphers, Cranston is a grouchy bore. Oh, there's also no New Millennium Bulk Skull in this either, which is a problem because there's almost no intentional laughter to be found anywhere else in this grim, dreary slog of a narrative. Even Elizabeth Banks' much-hyped turn as Rita is a big letdown. Yeah, she's the only remotely interesting performance, but there's nothing to the character and her whole presence feels really cynically contrived. I.e., if we stunt cast an actual celebrity and just have her do weird, gross-out, occasionally random camera mugging, people will mistake it for quirky self-awareness. I guess it kind of feels like she might have had fun shooting this nonsense, and good on her because I can't imagine how any large number of people will end up sharing that same sentiment. And that was my main takeaway, folks. I mean, apart from the existentially devastating constant awareness of other better things I could have been doing for 2 hours. I just couldn't for the life of me tell you who the fuck the prospective audience for this nonsense is supposed to be. It feels almost a shame to be a Power Rangers movie, so I don't think it's really meant as a nostalgia trip for the OG fans. It's way too damn long, talky, and downbeat for young kids who are into the present day version, which, you know, that actually looks like a lot of fun. And despite all that self-serious moodiness, there's no actual depth involved for older audiences who might have been way more accommodating of a less action-oriented, character-centric take. I mean, for fuck's sake, guys, I know the lines are blurred these days, but who was asking for the grounded, gritty realism version of what has essentially been Sesame Street with kicking for about 25 uninterrupted years of relative success and popularity? So yeah, I thought this was a real fucking dud. I give it 1.5 stars. And like I said, I can't tell you what hardcore Power Rangers fans might have wanted out of their movie, but I can tell you that if someone did this to something I'd loved as a kid, I'd want to punch them right in the taint.